The price of gas was 36 cents a gallon. Americans were shocked by the Watergate scandal, and Vernie Glasson was just starting his career at Farm Bureau. After 35 years of serving farmers and ranchers, Mr. Glasson says Farm Bureau is part of who he is.
While I was in high school, I attended the high school citizenship seminar and really took an interest in the organization. Farm Bureau has always kind of been in my blood since then. My dad was active, was on the County Farm Bureau board, served as county president, and I've just had a deep interest in Farm Bureau for nearly all my life.
After graduating from Texas A&I University and serving 4 years in the Air Force, Glasson started his career at Farm Bureau as a field representative serving an 18-county area in and around Snyder. He loved the work and he loved the people, but the dusty conditions in West Texas were a far cry from his hometown of Sinton.
I'll never forget the first time I drove into Lubbock, Texas. The wind was blowing and the sand was blowing, and it literally pitted my windshield. And for a South Texas boy, that was quite a rude awakening. I didn't know sand could blow like that, but those are tough people out there that live through those conditions.
Glasson's next step on his career path was in Waco in 1974, where he worked for former Director of Commodity Activities Tommy Klemke to expand Texas Farm Bureau's commodity programs. A year later, Glasson moved to Washington, D.C. to become the Assistant Director of Congressional Affairs for the American Farm Bureau Federation. After almost a decade of working for AFBF in various positions, he finally returned to the Lone Star State in 1984, when former TFB Executive Director Warren Newberry made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
We basically established what was then called the Public Affairs Division, combining state and national legislation, the regulatory program, which really wasn't much at that time. We basically built the regulatory program. Research and education, and at that time we had a farm labor program, and all of those were combined under my management.
When Newberry retired, Glasson became executive director of the state's largest farm organization and its affiliated companies on April Fool's Day, 1989, a job he still holds today. Looking back on a 35-year career, achievements are many. But the two that stand out in his mind is the upset defeat of Jim Hightower as Texas Agriculture Commissioner in 1990 and the creation of Ag Fund, Texas Farm Bureau's political action arm.
When I came back in 1984, we had gone through the first really major redistricting in which we began to lose rural representation. So it was obvious that things were changing and we were going to have a new way to gain access to members of the legislature to sell our story. And so Ag Fund became that means.
But Glasson says the biggest highlight of his career has been the support of the TFB leadership, from current President Kenneth Diersky and the current board all the way back. Though there have been many changes in the organization and in agriculture throughout the last 35 years, he said one thing has remained constant. People make the Farm Bureau organization stand out.
S.M. True used to have a statement of, we'll push when we need to and we'll pull when we need to. And that's really the kind of organization we have. We have people willing to do the job. And that's what makes the organization great.
For Voices of Agriculture, I'm Kurt Leicester in Waco.